Hello and welcome everyone to a Thursday edition of Blind Eye Live. I'm your host, Hunter King himself, Blind Eye himself, and it's good to be back. I've been out for a couple weeks. I've been super busy, had a lot of stuff going on, and I just needed to take care of some personal business, like business, not like something terrible happening or anything. So, that being said, on today's show, I'm going to be hitting up, probably going to hit up some news stories real quickly off the top. Then I'm going to get into my NBA playoff reactions, kind of like my opinions on what we've seen so far. Kind of react to like we've had a couple teams already eliminated. And, well, actually, I think now we've had, like, 3 teams eliminated. And we've got a couple of close series. But, at this point, I think it would be a good time to take stock of, like, where we're at. We'll talk about the teams that have been eliminated and probably, like, their futures. Some other big news that has hit, like, since I last ran my stream. So we'll get into that, and I will probably close the show with my thoughts. Well, my opinion, which I believe is going to turn out to be absolutely true. Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, they're not going anywhere. They're not getting traded. At least not this year. For different reasons, but neither of those players is getting traded. I don't see any big quarterback moves going on. We'll also probably talk about Julio Jones trade stuff too. So there is that. Sorry, I'm collapse. I love when I hit button and then button doesn't do what it's supposed to. It's rather frustrating. Actually, can we not be select? Oh my goodness, I sometimes hate trying to figure this stuff out. That's not what I want to do. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Anyway. With that being said, let us swap over and hit some headlines real quick, and then I'll get into my spiels, if you will. So, some headlines today. I saw this. Coach K is going to retire. He's not going to retire this year. I think it's next year, and I think it's his chief assistant on his staff is going to take over. Tampa Bay's quarterback coach. So Tom Brady had a knee procedure done after the Super Bowl. His quarterback coach has said that it was likely nagging him the entire season. So Tom Brady wasn't even at 100%. Newsflash, the guy is in his 40s, entering his mid-40s. He's never going to be 100%, and he's going to have nagging ailments for the rest of his career. Really cool news. The long-dormant USFL, really the only real competition the NFL has ever had, or at least should I say, pretty much in the lifetime of the vast majority of sports fans on this planet, the USFL is the only time the NFL's really had any legit competition. And apparently it's getting restarted. We'll see where that goes. The XFL, of course, got bought by a group including Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, so it might make another comeback. The Lions apparently have interest in Todd Gurley. I think that's stupid. I think they have a really good running back room there with young, talented players. There's no need to to bring in Gurley to take away opportunities from them. Apparently, the Cleveland Indians are narrowing down and vetting a final list of nicknames for their coming name change. And then this is really cool. So I've already read this today, but pause. Oh my God. The Jacksonville Jaguars are proposing a huge project in downtown Jacksonville. So last year they had made a $450 million proposal, including like I guess a new training facility, whatever. And Jacksonville's city council couldn't get the required majority to vote yes on it. I think it was by like January or whatever. Anyway, or maybe it was January 2020. Either way, Jacksonville Jaguars have proposed a new one, and it's very interesting. So they are wanting to build new team facilities. They have, and these are some pictures here. Urban Meyer posted this. So what this is the training complex that they're going to be building here. And there are more pictures below. So as you can see, 2 outdoor, and this will be like the north end of the stadium because they have a indoor practice facility on the south side of the stadium. It's not as big and as nice as this indoor facility, which would have 1 indoor field. They've got 2 outdoor fields here. And this little covered area right here, obviously, there's going to be like, basically this area where like the public can come and like watch practices and stuff, which I think is super cool. Obviously these are 3D renderings as well. This is, I guess, some kind of courtyard, like outside or whatever. And then this right here, I believe, because like this is a huge, expansive project. They've got like, they're gonna have like team offices and facilities. There's gonna be a 4 Seasons hotel. Office spaces they were talking about. I don't know if this is going to be the 4 Seasons Hotel or if this is going to be something different. So the team facility is going to cost, I think, like $120 million. And Shad Khan, the owner, is proposing to pay like over half of those costs. And then the team would upkeep those facilities. The city wouldn't have to pay any upkeep. I thought I saw some more like photos on the thing that I was using other than this. Actually, you know what? Let's look this up because this is interesting. I'd like to see if there's any more pictures of proposals. Let's see, facilities. Oh, that would explain it. Oh, no. Images. Let's see. I'm looking for. Okay, so this is the new hotness. Well, that's just the stadium. Okay, we seen that. That's so. When was this posted? Because that was a long time ago, I think. That one, unless that has to do with the marina, because they're wanting to make upgrades to the arena, but I'm pretty sure that's like something different. Yeah, this was like the old proposal. This was like a really unique idea, was that they wanted to build basically a more sustainable structure with like stacking actual like outdoor facilities on top of indoor like offices and stuff. This was really a really cool idea actually. Okay. So this yeah, cuz they were wanting to do like a big convention center thing next to the marina as well. But yeah, this isn't really showing us anymore. Some of this is like other proposals, I'm pretty sure. Um, let's see. Cuz like they did a big investment like when Shad Khan bought the team, and they built like this outdoor amphitheater, Daly's Place, where All Elite Wrestling has been doing their events out of. And it's a really cool outdoor venue. Um, so this is let's open this up. Maybe there's more pictures on Urban Meyer's thing here. Or at least let's see what we can see here. This is a little larger. So yeah, this would be like, okay, so that's where the end of the ends. Okay, so I mean, I really like this. I think this is a really cool like concept. Um, and the idea is, so like right now, what the heck is that? I'm trying to see if like there's anything interesting down here. Um, anyway, I think it's a really cool idea. I want to get down here and talk about. So, in addition, there would be. Okay, they've talked about that. Okay, let's actually dive into this for a second. So, the proposed 125,000 square foot facility would be constructed outside the north end of the stadium. Da 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 da. It would include locker rooms, meeting rooms, training and recovery areas, medical support facilities, which I would assume, based on the pictures, would be in this large building here, potentially. Yeah, that's where that stuff would be housed. Um, let's see, medical support facilities, a weight room, dining areas, and offices. It would also include public viewing stands, which you could see that stuff here. Um, restrooms, concession areas, which that's cool. You could go watch practice, get yourself a burger or a dog or something. a retail store so you could buy merch, and let's see, and public meeting space, which I'm guessing was that second picture here, like this spot right there. Let's see. In addition, of course, 2 full-size grass practice fields. That would be awesome for like training camp and everything. Full-size indoor practice field. They currently have a indoor practice field, and here's a cool part of the plan. But the new plan would give that practice facility to the city's Parks and Recreation Department for 300 plus days a year. So that would become like a public, or their older indoor practice facility, which is still pretty new. That'd be a really cool. That would be a really cool thing for the city and the people of Jacksonville to have at their disposal. The team would sign a long-term lease of the facility, and that the team, not the city, would be responsible for ongoing maintenance and operational costs, which also taking some burden off the taxpayer, which I know there's a lot of people like, all these owners are like rich and da-da-da, why don't they just pay for everything, da-da-da-da. And there's part of me that agrees with that sentiment, but these teams are huge revenue draws for the city. They're huge employers. This would probably expand employment for the team. The construction costs are going to go right into the city and right into workers in the area. That money is going to go right back in the economy. I'd rather my taxpayer money be spent on something that people are going to use, and it's going to get spent on materials and salaries of real people than my tax money going to some stupid gimmick organization or getting like totally lost in a bureaucratic mess. The team and its affiliated real estate development company hope construction could begin by the end of the year and be complete in 2023. Which would be cool. And see, here's the thing. So they have like a indoor practice facility. It is only like a practice field. At current, all of the like offices, all of the like their weight room, locker rooms, everything for the Jaguars is in the bowels of TIAA Bank Stadium, which sucks. And this stadium's been around a long time, so this stuff is, or these are dated anyway. Plus that, or those facilities like inside the stadium could be repurposed for other things. Having a separate facility outside the stadium would allow the team to continue its normal operations while work is done on the city-owned stadium. See, and that's the other thing. Improving this stadium and potentially, in all honesty, there's an argument to be made that Jacksonville should be looking to like build a new stadium at some point. Anyway, the team has been laying the groundwork for significant work to the city-owned stadium, but did not release a proposal for those potential renovations or construction to the stadium, or state whether Khan would be willing to contribute any money towards it. Khan, however, did contribute $76 million to help pay for previous renovations, $11 million on locker room and weight room improvements, $20 million to help erect the NFL's largest scoreboards, and also constructed 2 pools, and then like $45 million to help build that indoor practice facility and an outdoor amphitheater. And they also improving like their club seats, which this is the thing. So like when he bought the team, he or like when he bought in, he built that amphitheater, um, and the indoor practice facility that they're saying they're going to turn over to the city for public use if they approve this, which I think would be a big win for people. Da, 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 da. Also, because this is like phase one, they've got a second phase, but they haven't really. They've stated some ideas, but haven't put a price tag on it. So phase one of the proposal would also include a Four Seasons hotel and residences, office space, and renovations to the city-owned marina, which, because it's right on the waterfront there, that'd be great too. And they said total cost would be like $441 million. Phase 2 would include an orthopedic sports medicine complex, which would be useful for more than just the Jaguars themselves. That would be a huge gain just for the entire region. Like young athletes, like high school, or kids going to high school or college there at Jacksonville State. Retail space and a parking structure. No cost was listed for that. Khan has said that his goal is that downtown Jacksonville will be the envy of cities here in the U.S. and elsewhere. And this is another thing. Khan has really invested in Jacksonville. He believes that Jacksonville's in a great location. It's a very beautiful area. To be honest, people like, because a lot of people have wanted the Jaguars moved out of Jacksonville to like more important cities. To me, I'm like, why not just build up Jacksonville? Because it's a beautiful city and a beautiful area. So that's cool for them. See, there was something I saw yesterday that I wanted to talk about. Guess LSU has gotten rid of an offensive line coach. Oh, yep. That's the story. I see it. Reggie Bush, Andrew Luck, and Marshawn Lynch among College Hall of Fame nominees. Well, let me check and make sure I've got the right people's names there. Former LSU tight end Eric Gilbert is transferring to Georgia. He was like a 4 or 5 star recruit. He was a big time tight end recruit last year, and he's transferring to Georgia. He's said he's transferring to a bunch of places and then decommitted from those, and now, that could be interesting to look at. And then, Dan Mullen got a big extension from the Gators. He has got a contract extension through 2026. So, but yeah. So let's hit these. LSU says James Gregg is out as Tigers offensive line coach. Sorry, I couldn't mute in time. Gregg joined the LSU staff in 2018 with 20 years of experience, including college and the NFL. LSU's coaching staff has already experienced substantial turnover this offseason, bringing in new offensive coordinator in Jake Peets, a new passing game coordinator in DJ Mangus, which I think was a really good hire, and new defensive coordinator Durante Jones. So I guess Andre Carter is their new defensive line coach. I like that hire too. So I guess they're just moving on from their offensive line coach. Well, this story's already here. open that in a new tab. So this is a crazy story. I didn't. There wasn't a lot of details when I saw this yesterday night. Virginia Tech Hokies freshman linebacker Isi Etute charged with murder. He's like an early enrollee. He has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder and is being held without bond. Blacksburg police responded to a welfare check at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday and found a deceased male victim. The detectives determined it was a homicide and arrested Etute Wednesday. He is being held at the Montgomery County Jail. Let's see, is there anything new? Etute was rated a 3-star recruit by ESPN, an outside linebacker out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Oh, he's from Virginia Beach. Etute was the 29th ranked recruit in the entire state of Virginia, had other offers from NC State, Virginia, and Vanderbilt. Well, Vanderbilt's already had a whole bunch of how do I say it? Well, I can't really say that word on YouTube. Now Vanderbilt's going after murderers. Fits that. Etute was an early enrollee at Virginia Tech, so we've still got no new information since last night. But that's wild. Yeah, I just early enrolled this spring, in college. Couldn't even finish the semester without murdering someone. Jeez. Could I? There we go. Already, yeah. Reggie Bush, Andrew Luck, Marshawn. Why would Marshawn Lynch be nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame? I don't remember him being like that incredible in college. Among the group of 78 players and several coaches, the Football Bowl subdivision, and 99 players and 33 coaches from the divisional ranks. So like, FCS, Division 2, Division 3. Let's see. Luck, Stanford's career leader in touchdown passes and passing efficiency, owning 2 of the top 4 passing seasons in school history. The 2-time Heisman Trophy runner-up, was the first-team All-America selection in 2011, winning the Maxwell Award and Walter Camp Player of the Year honors. There was a great argument that he should have won the Heisman in 2011 as well. Lynch played at Cal. Well, school record 1,700-yard rushing games and led the Golden Bears to a share of a Pac-10 title in 2006 when he was named the conference's Offensive Player of the Year. Leading the league in rushing, 1,356 yards, all-purpose yards, 1,785, and touchdowns, 15. I mean, yeah, but I don't think of Lynch as like a Hall of Famer. Let's see, who else did they put on as first-time guys? Sean Alexander. Now, Alexander was a much more prolific college player than Marshawn. LeVar Arrington was one of the scariest linebackers in the history of college football. That guy was a walking, block kick when he was in college. It was crazy. Eric Berry of Tennessee was an outstanding college player. Michael Crabtree, outstanding. Sylvester Croom, longtime coach. Croom was never really successful, though. I don't understand him. Warwick Dunn was really great. Toby Gerhart, another Stanford guy. You want to talk about, a college stud, Toby Gerhart. He was better than Marshawn Lynch in college. Graham Harrell, another like iconic name. Jeremy Maclin, eh. Now Kellen Moore, you didn't put Kellen Moore up there. Kellen Moore is one of like the I think he actually has the most wins of any quarterback in college football history. And he's got a ton. He's like really high on a lot of efficiency charts. He's great. Paul Posluszny, one of the greatest linebackers of all time. And Peter Warrick was he was kind of like Reggie Bush before Reggie Bush, except he was a receiver. Some holdovers: Champ Bailey, Marvin Harrison, Tony Gonzalez, Julius Peppers, and Rashawn Salam. Rashawn Salam as a college running back is one of the best ever among coaches. Larry Coker. So they mentioned Sylvester Croom up here. I guess it's a first time. Larry Coker was extremely successful at the University of Miami. He took over for Butch Davis in the early 2000s, and he won a national championship and lost Ohio State in another. Yeah, he got Miami to its most recent national championship in 2001. Appeared on the ballot for the first time. Yeah, so Coker's way better than Croom. Players are eligible if they are 10 full seasons removed from their final year of college football and have received first-team All-American honors by an organization recognized by the NCAA. So all you have to do is be a first-team All-American if you're a player by a recognized organization. Okay. Coaches are eligible 3 full seasons after retirement and immediately after retirement if they are at least 70 years old. Coach also must have been a head coach for at least 10 years and have coached at least 100 games with a winning percentage of 600 or better. So that's why Coker hadn't been nominated before now. That makes sense. I guess eventually I'll get into my topics. We'll hit this list of like the 50 most versatile college players in 2021 as selected by Bill Connolly, I guess. Good running quarterbacks who can throw when they need to. Malik Willis of Liberty. I think it's a little early. They've got Willis in the first round. He's got to prove it. It's kind of like Jamie Newman last year was a first-round pick, and then he decided not to play, and he tumbled down draft boards because, well, no one wanted. I just realized I've been off the screen for most of this time. That's what happens when you don't stream for 2 weeks. Willis is an extremely versatile quarterback, very great runner. He was really good for Liberty last year. I like him better as a prospect than Jamie Newman. But Newman made the mistake of opting out last year and ended up going undrafted. And that wasn't a shock. Because people really believed he could be really good at Georgia. They just didn't think it was about projection at the time for what he was going to do. At Georgia. And then he chose not to play like an idiot. Grayson McCall of Coastal Carolina. I think this is legit. He's not quite as dynamic an athlete as Malik Willis, but I think he's a much better decision maker. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, quarterback for UCLA. Yeah. And I totally agree with this one. Hendon Hooker of Tennessee, he's transferring in from Virginia Tech. At Virginia Tech, he ran the ball in 25% of his snaps at a 6.8 yards per carry rate. But for his career, he's completed 63% of his passes with 159.8 passer rating. That's actually pretty stinking good. And coming to Josh Heupel's offense, Josh Heupel has developed Dylan Gabriel at UCF into an awesome quarterback. And Hooker is a heck of an athlete. He's got a lot of potential upside. Now, this is a name, Brendan Armstrong. He was really inconsistent last year. That's true, but he did finish off the year really well. He showed a lot of progress. Let's see. Oh, and Matt Corral of Ole Miss. Corral was a dynamic passer last year, but he's a really good athlete too. Let's see. Tyler Shug. I mean, he can take off, but I don't think he's as dynamic a player as that. Dustin Crum of Kent State. Now, Dustin Crum's is getting a lot of hype, and I actually wouldn't be shocked if he has a great year this year. If he jumped up draft boards and ended up as a borderline first round pick. This is a guy I was expecting higher on like his group of quarterbacks, Spencer Rattler. He's also got a bunch of quarterbacks here. Let's get to some more interesting other players. Okay, so now we're to some running backs. Anaya Smith at A&M. He is backing up. Let's see here. A&M's new starting quarterback is presumably freshman Haynes King. No relation to me. He'll have this is true. He will have a great group of running backs at his disposal. Why is this talking so much about King? He made a mistake here. He said King. He meant Smith. Averaged 4.9 carries and 4.3 receptions a game for combined 9.3 yards per touch and a touchdown per game. Anaya Smith is extremely explosive, and he's a really good running back, really good slot receiver. He's very much in that kind of Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey type mold, although I wouldn't say he's as good as those guys. He's backing up Isaiah Spiller at running back, but he'll be on the field a lot. They're going to have Smith and Spiller on the field a lot. Calvin Turner of Hawaii is also a really explosive player. Transferred from Jacksonville University. Rushed 12 times for 60 yards, caught a 75-yard touchdown pass, and returned kickoff 92 yards for the game coaching score in a 28-14 win over Houston. Yeah, that big upset they had over Houston. He's a really, really explosive player. Deuce Vaughn of Kansas State. Yes, Vaughn was awesome last year. He had 4 catches for 129 yards in their upset of Oklahoma. He had 3 100-yard rushing games, 3 80-yard receiving games, averaged 7.3 yards per touch over 15 touches per game. Really good player. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know a ton about him at Tech. I didn't really pay attention to them last year. Kyron Williams of Notre Dame. This guy, not just one of the most versatile. Kyron Williams might be the best running back in the country this season. He's incredibly explosive and agile. Marvin Mims of Oklahoma. As a freshman, he caught 37 passes for 610 yards and 9 touchdowns. Um, 51% of his receptions were from the slot, 46% out wide, and 3% as a tight end. He was thought up as a tight end some? Jeez. Or maybe as a wing type player. I think he's really, really good. And then, oh yeah, they mentioned Austin Stoner or Stogner. I think it's Stoner. Two super versatile players. Josh Wiley of Cincinnati. He's really, really talented. Um, so they're comparing him to Kyle Pitts. Okay. He's not as explosive. That makes sense. Guaranteed first down. 73% success rate on receptions. So, like, 73% of his receptions end in first downs. Um, and he'll line up everywhere. That's impressive. Um, Khalil Shakir, Boise State. Not super familiar with where Boise State is right now, I'm going to be honest. Jack Sorensen. Devon Williams of Oregon. Oh, yeah, Williams is a big, big guy. Really talented. Let's see. Jackson Kirkland of Washington. Yeah, that dude can play all over the place. I like his potential as a tackle, though. Jack Snyder of San Jose State. Snyder had a 0% blown block rate and a 0.6% pressure rate allowed last year. That's incredible. Let's see. Andrew Voorhees, USC. And Ingram of LSU. Ingram's a really talented interior lineman, that's for sure. Demetrius Taylor of Appalachian State, really good small school guy. Jackson Player of Tulsa, that dude's a freak. He's 6'2", 290, but that dude, he's super explosive for his size. I love him. Roy from LSU, definitely solid. You can move him all over the defensive line. And then they've got this dude. Okay, so I'm familiar with this guy because I've got friends up in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I know a couple guys who graduated from North Texas and big fans. So this Dion Noville is a freak. So he's a senior from senior from Abilene. Not as quite as prolific a pass rusher as the others in this section, but we're grading on a sliding scale. So this dude's 6'4", 330. 7 tackles for loss and 10 run stuffs, and threw in 2.5 sacks with a 5% pressure rate last season. That's impressive for a dude who is 6'4", 330. He can really move at that size. Of course, Thibodeau, Coleman from TCU. Have to do some tape work on Camp Thomas there. Barno, Virginia Tech. Trayshawn Clark of Liberty. Oh, yeah, that dude was really, really good last year. He really popped on tape. Jalen Petrie or Pitter of Baylor. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he is really good. Darian Beavers of Cincinnati. Beavers is a really key part of their defense in Cincinnati. He is all over the field doing a lot of different things for them. DeMarco Jackson, very similar for Appalachian State. Shaka Hayward of Duke. Let's see, Peyton Wilson, NC State. Oh, yeah, dude. Mullen, really good tape out of Indiana. He is not afraid to, like, for a corner, his, like, the way he attacks in tackling and in run support, you gotta love it. Kyle Hamilton of Notre Dame, there's a reason, like, some people think he's a top 10 prospect. Cedric Cunningham of Army, interesting. Roger McCreary of Auburn. Jason. So there's a guy who's missing here, and it's Stingley from LSU. This dude was like an elite running back prospect, as well as like a top tier corner prospect coming into college, and he's a great return man. Good punters who are also good place kickers. Yeah, Dicker from Texas is really, really good. Garibay of Texas Tech. So a couple Texas boys. Carson Strong. Interesting. Punter turned tight end. Tyler Hunt, Michigan State. Hard to get more versatile than a guy who was brought to punt. He had 36 for a 40.1 yard average in 2018 and ended up making a change to tight end. That's crazy. Okay, that was a unique article. Hopefully it wasn't a boring waste of y'all's time. I didn't have a whole lot to add there. Whoops. All right. I said ESPN. Okay, so let's get to some playoff stuff. My NBA playoff thoughts. Now that we're like an hour into the show. Almost. We're only 50 minutes in. No call yet to retain Wiz coach Brooks, GM says. I think the Wizards should move on from Scott Brooks, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so this is big news. The Boston Celtics team president, Danny Ainge. I hate autoplay. So, Celtics president Danny Ainge is retiring. He had a mild heart attack a couple years back. He said that, and he started thinking about it then. And with all the stuff with going through this year, with all the COVID protocols and stuff, he's said this year wasn't very much fun. The job wasn't very much fun, and he's decided to retire. And they are moving Coach Brad Stevens to that position. He is leaving the sideline and going to the front office. Stevens has said that he wanted, or apparently Stevens was kind of wanting a change in like what he's doing. And so he's going to move into being the chief architect of the team, and the Celtics are now looking for a new head coach. Which that's just wild. Not a switch you see very often, but it's something that the Celtics have done in the past. Red Auerbach moved from coaching into the front office. And then I think it was Bill Russell took over as player coach. But Red Auerbach was their GM for a long time after being, one of the greatest coaches and most successful coaches in NBA history. So those are some little headlines. So let's talk about the different playoff matchups. Suns-Lakers, Game 6. The Suns, of course, won Game 5 a couple nights ago. Anthony Davis was out with a groin injury. The Suns have been playing well. Chris Paul has been battling a shoulder issue, which he re-aggravated, I believe, in the win. But I'm rooting for the Suns. If AD is out again, the Lakers luckily are at home, but I just feel like the Suns are going to pull that series out. Nuggets Trailblazers has been a fun series. They're going into a Game 6. Nuggets are up 3-2. The Blazers had a chance to take the lead in the series in Game 5. That was a crazy Game 5. Multiple overtimes. I believe the final score was like a 146, 140, 143, 140, something like that. It was a high-scoring game. But the Nuggets were up like almost double digits, I think, like in the fourth quarter. And the Trailblazers came back. At the very least, it was in the third, but Trailblazers fought really valiantly. But Robert Covington missed 2 open threes. Like, that basically lost the Trailblazers the game. And it's really sad because I like Robert Covington a lot, but Rocco didn't get it done. So those games are, like I said, going into Game 6s. The Trailblazers and Lakers are at home for those games, so they have a really good opportunity to push to a Game 7. And y'all know that Damian Lillard loves being clutch on his own court, so wow, Stephen A. Smith learned that Julius Randle's not a number 1 option for the Knicks? Really? Wow, you didn't know that already? Dude, all the Stephen A. Smith, hysterics over the Knicks, this was an overachieving team. I think they're good, but, to me, Randle, you obviously need a better player than Randle. Randle's really, really good, though. But I think Knicks fans were kidding themselves. They thought they were really legit. Of course, in the Mavs Game 5 win over the Clippers to take a 3-2 series lead. Luka was awesome. 42 points. He was great on defense down the stretch. He's ridiculously good. And that face for Rondo says it all right there. About that game. Of course, the Hawks eliminated the Knicks in 5 games. Spike Lee leaving Madison Square Garden early. Of course, Reggie Miller rags on him because they have some interesting beef history there. But Spike leaving the game early, and he's the most famous or the biggest Knicks fan or whatever, I think is a joke. You should be excited. Most people thought the Knicks were going to be pretty much garbage this year. I think they should be celebrating how much progress they made this year. So yeah. Of course, my Grizzlies lost in 5 games to the Jazz. I'm super hopeful about the future. I thought we played really well in the series. Morant is so freaking good. Dylan Brooks actually stepped up and he was basically playing the best basketball, at least of this season, but maybe of his life in this series. It still wasn't enough. But he and Morant gave it everything. I don't know what happened with our rotation come playoff time, like what Taylor Jenkins was doing with the bench, but like Brandon Clark barely played. Xavier Tillman barely played. Kyle Anderson had like the worst game of his life in game 5. I think it was like 2 points, and he had no other box score statistics other than I think maybe fouls. And I'm just like, maybe play Brandon Clark. I don't know why he disappeared from the rotation because he's been so good for us. I don't know if he was hurt or something, but it's crazy. I will say this, out of the teams that have been eliminated, so let me kind of go down through. So we've still got Suns Lakers going on, still got Nuggets Blazers, still got Mavs Clippers. All of those are 3-2 series. This is right now with the higher seeded Suns, Nuggets, and Mavs. Or no, the Mavs are the lower seed. The higher seeded Suns and Nuggets with 3-2 leads. Going on the road for Game 6s. And then Dallas has a 3-2 series lead, and they're coming home for Game 6. And Rick Carlisle is putting on, in my opinion, a coaching clinic. Luka has absolutely been the best player in the series. I think it's really incredible how well the Mavs are playing right now. They're playing great team basketball. And then, of course, the one series that has finished is the 1-8 or the 1-8 matchup, the Jazz Grizzlies. The Jazz look really freaking good. Donovan Mitchell is in prime playoff form for him. Gobert is playing excellently. A poster from John Morant and a poster from Jaren Jackson Jr. Just last night. Now, I mean, those are going to happen. But Gobert's been playing excellent. The role players have been playing excellent. Mike Conley's been sublime. I mean, the team's just playing really good basketball. Heck, Royce O'Neal had like a thunderous slam in, I think it was Game 4. But I'm super excited with how the Grizzlies are playing because we have definite flaws, and for us to be as good as we are, I think is a testament to the coaching staff. But we got to make some changes. As good as Kyle Anderson has been this year, I don't see him. I don't know if he can continue this level of play or improve upon it. I'd love to see him moved for something else, like maybe a more traditional wing. But that's me. And that's going to leave the Jazz. They're going to be playing whoever wins the Nuggets Trailblazers series. I think. Or wait, did the Nuggets end up with the third best record? I'm trying to remember what the seeds are. Let me see here. I wish there was like a playoff bracket somewhere. What? Yeah, I don't see like a bracket. Well, let's just look at the standings because that'll help me out. That'll show me what the seeds are. Okay, so yeah. So the Jazz are going to play whoever wins Clippers Mavericks. I thought the Nuggets had overtaken the Clippers for the third spot. And because I knew the Mavericks had a tiebreaker over the Blazers and the Lakers in their three-way tie for fifth. So yeah, I'm definitely. So the Western Conference is a little bit murky still because we still have 3 series that have been really competitive going. So I'm expecting the Suns to finish off the Lakers in Game 6 or 7. And I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say the Nuggets don't lose this series to the Trailblazers. So I think it's gonna be Suns Nuggets in the second round. That'll be a really good series, and I feel like the Suns will win that series. The Jazz will then go on. I think the Mavericks are going to finish the Clippers off, and I think they're going to finish them off tonight. And then I'm going to pick the Jazz over the Mavericks. I honestly think I'm going to pick the Jazz to go all the way in the Western Conference still. As for the Eastern Conference, the Sixers eliminated the Wizards without Embiid last night. The Nets, of course, made short work of the Celtics. And, of course, the Bucks swept the Heat. They were the first team to advance. The Bucks, even with Dante DiVincenzo getting injured and being out for the entire playoffs, I still think the Bucks are really well positioned. That series between them and the Nets is going to be very interesting. I'm still going to pick the Nets because their triumvirate of stars is just so much better. And I think their bench, like their rotation around those guys, is just a little bit better than the Bucks. And then the Sixers get the Hawks because all those series are done now. Which, once again, all the series is in the Eastern Conference, 5 games or less. The Hawks are playing really well, but if Embiid's healthy, the Sixers have that. I think it's a little murky without Embiid. I think the Hawks could give them trouble. But I'm going to pick the Sixers to advance, and I'm going to pick the Nets over the Bucks, and I'm going to pick the Nets over the Sixers. With that being said, we're looking at the teams that have gotten eliminated. So the Heat got eliminated first. They've got some really tough decisions to make this offseason because they would have to sacrifice a lot to clear the cap space to because if the Clippers lose, I think Kawhi and PG are out. Or at the very least, Kawhi is. I could be wrong. I think they should stay put regardless because they have a great roster there. They just need to build continuity over an offseason, I think. Just some more continuity. But the Heat would have to, they'd have to decline Goran Dragic and Andre Iguodala's player options. Iguodala's is a no-brainer. I also think Dragic's should probably be a no-brainer as well, but the harder thing is they'd have to renounce cap holds to 3 players. They'd have to renounce Victor Oladipo, Kendrick Nunn, and Duncan Robinson. And Robinson, out of those guys, I think is the hardest. Oladipo, recently his doctor said that his quadricep, his quad and his thigh muscle, was not properly like fixed, like it was not it wasn't properly reattached. Which is why he has been struggling so much in his recovery and been so uneven. He said now, like he reattached it. Now he says, I don't see why he won't be 100% and good to go for for next season. Like he should be able to. He should be back to his old self. If that's the case, Miami should just bring everyone back, because I think Vic would, or 85-90% of peak Victor Oladipo would be a huge lift for this team. But we'll see. It depends on how much money it would cost to bring that guy back. But the Heat have a murky future. The Celtics really do, because their highest paid player is Kemba Walker. He still has 2 years left on his deal. He spent like a third of the season injured and a lot of the season like dealing with nagging issues and trying to come back. They don't have like the excess draft picks. Marcus Smart's up for like an extension, like he's going to the last year of his contract. Evan Fournier, who they traded for, is like an unrestricted free agent. They only traded 2 second-round picks for him, but they still traded 2 second-round picks for him. They have a lot of young players on the roster, but guys who haven't developed or for whatever reason, or they haven't given time to develop. The Celtics are in a very interesting spot. The Wizards, they need to decide whether they're bringing Scott Brooks back or not. And he's been historically really good when it comes to player development. But I think the further it goes, like he just doesn't innovate well. I think the Wizards might want to go with a fresh face. The Knicks, I think the Knicks are in a very bright spot. They don't need to just go all out in free agency unless some big fish really drop. Like if Kawhi and PG come open. And even then they need to be careful about what they do. But they've got some real good, promising young talent on this roster. R.J. Barrett made really big strides this year. Julius Randle made big strides this year, and he's still, considering how long he's been in the league, very young. He's got years left. And he can still keep improving even. Mitchell Robinson is an awesome talent. Emmanuel Quickly has been really good for them. Really quickly. Ha ha ha. So I think they've got a bright future. The Hawks, that coaching change, getting Nate McMillan in as coach, really flipped the Hawks season around. And McMillan has always been a solid coach. And if anything, I wonder if Indiana regrets moving on from him because they've had issues in the transition to Nate Bjorkgren. Although I don't know necessarily how much of that's his fault, although it has sounded like he's not been the player's favorite. But that's because players seem to really love Nate McMillan too, so. But I'm picking the Nets to go all the way and win the championship, and I'm just going to stick to it. But the first round has been very interesting. If the Clippers lose this playoff series, their summer is going to be... People are going to be talking about Kawhi and PG all summer because they both can opt out. So with that being said, let's move on to kind of my football opinions here. Honors. Yeah, nothing really. So, let's get into this quarterback stuff, and then we'll wrap the show. really have anything I need to look at here, so let's go back to the face cam. So let's get into this segment about these quarterbacks. I don't think there's going to be a big quarterback trade the rest of the season. It's not happening. Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere. He's not. Anyone who thinks that Aaron Rodgers is going somewhere, I think is kidding themselves. The Packers do not want to move him. They believe they are contenders. And they are. They are contenders. And people can hate on the moves they've made all they want at different points in time. They have built a team that has made it to the NFC Championship game the last 2 seasons. And while you could say in some regard, a lack of offensive firepower and Rodgers not having enough weapons is the issue that's held them back, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think some of it maybe has more to do with a couple in-game management, like game management type scenarios. I think in 2019, I simply think the 49ers were just better. In 2020, I think Matt LaFleur mismanaged the game, and I think the refs being inconsistent with how they refereed pass coverage in the game is a big reason the Packers lost. Because the Buccaneers had been getting away with all game long, including getting an interception because of a blatant hold and rip move by a corner back, Sean Murphy Bunting, who was holding the entire game and not getting flagged. Kevin King gets flagged for a less egregious, hold, and it sealed the game. Like, the Packers had to stop there. But the refs were inconsistent. They threw the flag then. They didn't throw it. They weren't throwing those all game, and they threw it then. And it sealed the game for the Buccaneers. I have some issue with some of the decisions they made. Like, I don't love their drafting, but they've done a really good job historically, more often than not, hitting on draft picks, hitting on mid and late round picks. I did not love the value of Eric Stokes in round 1 at all. Did not like the value of Josh Myers in round 2. There were better players at that position. Creed Humphrey, Kendrick Green, Trey Hill of Georgia, who ended up falling all the way, I think it was the 5th or 6th round. All higher graded than Josh Myers to me. And they draft him at 62. Creed Humphrey goes literally the next pick. Eric Stokes, I thought, was a late 2nd round guy. Might creep into the top 50 picks, but he was outside my top 50. They drafted him at the top of the 1st round. Now, he's got great tools. He's physical. He's got elite speed at the position, straight line. But his teammate Tyson Campbell went in the 2nd round. I think Campbell's a better player. Asante Samuel, I think, is extremely comparable to the Packers' top cornerback, Jair Alexander. That guy was available. They didn't take him. And I think that was... Now, obviously, they're wanting big physical corners. Like, they love Jair Alexander, but they want someone who's bigger, longer, physical. But Jair Alexander took Mike Evans out of that game, despite being undersized and not physically gifted enough. Although he's super fast, really explosive, really quick. But I'd have rather had Campbell or Samuel than Stokes. And there were a couple other corners that were drafted. I'd rather have Kelvin Joseph than Eric Stokes. So, there's that. Still, though, I think the Packers should get some benefit of the doubt because they do make really good selections. But they have been kind of hit or miss at cornerback. So, but at other spots, I think they do a really good job of talent evaluation. They actually do a really good job of talent evaluation at the receiver position. They have a number one in Devontae Adams. I think drafting Amari Rodgers was a really good move. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, yes, it would be nice if MVS was a little more consistent. Same with Allen Lazard. Those guys are still quality options. And a lot of these guys are really young, still have a lot of upside. Quamius St. Brown still has a lot of upside and development. That can be done. And they are trusting in their ability to do that. Plus, the way the Packers offense works, they really don't need to invest that heavily at receiver. They've got a bunch of guys outside of Adams. I think Rodgers is going to be a huge hit in the offense. They still truly believe in Jake Stoneburner, and his ability to, it's Sternberger, his ability to develop. And I do as well. I think Jace is a really talented tight end. The Packers have done really well also investing on the offensive line, but they drafted several guys in the late rounds last year. I thought Myers was a reach, but apparently they really like him. And they've drafted guys like Elton Jenkins, David Bakhtiari, Brian Bulaga. Like, this front office nails, and they nail developing guys. Corey Linsley, even though they didn't bring him back, the Packers process is really good, and people can say all they want, and Packers fans can say all they want. It is hard to be this good and this consistently good. I know you want that Super Bowl title, and you feel like other teams are doing better, but the Packers have done really well. It's easy to second-guess drafting. Like, I didn't love the pick of Rashawn Gary in the first round in 2019. I like the Savage pick a lot more. But at the end of the day, once again, the Packers have built... It's not like they just accidentaled into the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. This is a team that this is an organization that knows what it's doing. And they're not going to trade Rodgers because Love's not ready. He's not. If they trade Rodgers, they're going to drop off the face of the earth. I do believe Rodgers is frustrated, but I'm still not convinced that he's unwilling to work this out. And there's only like a couple viable destinations I see right now. And the most viable one is Denver, and I don't see that deal coming together. I don't. But with everything, like right now, the 49ers, Trey Lance is their guy, like moving forward. Like, he's the guy of the future. And they still believe in Jimmy Garoppolo right now. Their issue is he just is injured a bunch, and they do believe that they can get better. And Trey Lance has a far higher ceiling than Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think his floor is actually higher than a lot of people give it or are saying as well. And he'll add dimensions to that offense. And I just don't see a bunch or very many teams that could realistically make a move for Rodgers at this point. The Panthers could be an interesting option maybe next offseason, though, if Sam Darnold doesn't work out. But I think Rodgers is going to be a Packer for, at the very least this year. I think he's going to end up retiring a Packer, or at least he's going to play out this contract. beyond that, we then have the other situation of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's toxic. He's a toxic commodity. The Texans would love to get rid of him now, I believe. But other teams don't want to pull the trigger on that deal. No one knows what kind of punishment or suspension he's going to get out of this. There's still a lot of stuff that isn't public knowledge yet. And I think it's going to be very interesting, like, what continues to come out of, like, this legal situation with Watson, because even beyond this year, do you really want to be the team that traded for that guy? Unless he gets completely exonerated of this stuff and just, which there's some stuff I've covered, I've read through stuff, and I've looked at more documents. There's a lot of stuff where I'm just like, I don't think this person in this scenario was a victim at all. It seemed like they were perfectly fine with everything that went on, and even, like, happy about it, or at the very least, telling other people about it in a positive way, bragging about it, this, that, and the other. A lot of these just seem like money grabs to me. There's some more that are, at the very least, I'm like, I can't definitively answer, but most of these, I don't think Watson, like, legally speaking, did anything wrong from a Christian perspective, and to me, like, from a moral perspective, I still don't like it. To me, he's, kind of sad. Like, to me, it's sad. But I wouldn't want, my team trading for him, which, luckily for the Titans, we love Tannehill. Tannehill's been really good for us. Could we do better quarterback? Sure. Probably. But it wouldn't be super easy. It wouldn't be super simple. And I'd rather, like, position ourselves to, like, draft a young guy and develop than go after Watson, personally. But the Texans, like, if they do want to move him at this point, and I would want to move him, like, no team's biting on that. No team's biting on that. So, like, I mean, and all of this, Watson brought on himself. You could say, like, no one ever, it's like, if all of these accusations are false or whatever, he brought on himself by putting himself in those situations. If you could, if you could keep your pants around your waist and go about your business in, as far as I'm concerned, a respectable manner, you wouldn't be in this situation. So, but they're not getting traded. If a big move happens, it's going to be the Julio Jones trade, and that seems like it's going to happen. There's been reports of a first-round pick being offered. People are saying the Titans have offered a first-round pick. I don't necessarily know. I mean, the way our track record recently with our first-round guys, either, completely whiffing or letting the guys walk, might as well trade it for him, but I'd still feel better about, like, not giving that kind of value up. Like, I'd rather, like, a second and then a mid-round pick, like, another year. But we also there's other teams that apparently have offered stuff. Because, like, the reports I saw, it was, like, the Titans with a first-round pick. I think the Niners had a second and a third, or a second and a fourth. Patriots had a second and a fourth. I think the Colts had a second and a fourth, or something like that. I think the Niners, it was like a third this year and a second the next year. So, like, 2023. So that was kind of interesting. But I don't know. The source that has been reporting like the Falcons getting a first round pick and a trade offer from a team and people tying it to the Titans. All of that seems to be coming from sources within the Falcons organization. So of course, you should see that as a smokescreen. That's the way I'm viewing all this. Until something like really concrete, like or until a deal is reported, all this stuff I'm just looking at as smokescreens. So, some other moves that could happen. Zach Ertz still could be on the move from the Eagles. If we don't get Julio, I would love for the Titans to try and take some kind of flyer on bringing in Zach Ertz to improve our tight end position for this year, and like trade him and restructure his deal to cheapen it a little bit. There's some really interesting like veteran free agents on the market. You've got Melvin Ingram is still on the market. Long-time Chargers pass rusher. I'd love to see him on a one-year deal with the Titans to add to our pass rush rotation for the year. Geno Atkins is still out there. Another guy, I mean, he's up there, but he would definitely improve I think he would improve just about any team's defensive line. He'd definitely improve your rotation for sure. So, but that being said, Rodgers and Watson aren't going anywhere. They're not. I'm calling it right now. Now, could I eat my words by the end of the summer? Absolutely. But I am very confident neither of those players is moving. Because the Packers believe themselves to be Super Bowl contenders, and I would agree. And Watson is so toxic, there's no way he's going anywhere. Just not this offseason. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to Blind Eye Live. Appreciate you showing up. And if you're listening on the archive, I'm sorry for that little dull lull period where I was going through that most versatile players list, whatever. I'm still kind of getting back in the swing of things here after being out for a couple weeks. I will be on tomorrow and probably have a little more stuff prepared. There are a lot of transfer quarterbacks this year in college football. I think some of them are very interesting. I might talk about them tomorrow. We have a couple more NBA playoff games. I will be talking about them, especially and particularly those will be of interest if the series, well, they're either going to end or go to Game 7. So either way. So I'll be talking about those games tomorrow. And yeah, so once again, appreciate you showing up. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Comment, I read those. Sub, notification bell if you want more. Appreciate you, and I hope y'all have a blessed